Welcome to the first ever Guide Reader drawing board video. Today we're going to talk about markers. There's no denying that the coloring craze got really popular over the past year and a half. But, people are not limiting themselves in their art supplies to things like colored pencils. And when I was in graphic design school, the biggest thing we had, I think, was Prismacolor, which were really fancy and nice. They still are nice. But now the magic marker game has been kicked up, and you've got a lot of high-end markers, especially like Copic, which they're a Japanese brand, and they became really popular thanks to, I think, anime and manga culture. And the thing is with them, they're alcohol-based, and they're really nice. You can replace the felt tip, etc. But the thing is, they smell really bad and bleed through. Almost every brand of alcohol marker I've seen, it stinks. Maybe the Copics are not as bad, but I have some that I purchased that really smell strong. I've got a theory. Like a lot of anime, you've got these incredible, horrific monsters in the plots. I think once the artist starts working with that alcohol-based ink, you just get high at a point, because it's really strong. A couple examples of like the alcohol marker I own. One of them, this picture here, I do some sketches for my Dominion project. This first one was colored using India ink markers for the ship, and the background was painted with watercolors on regular paper. And if you look at the back here, there's no bleed through. This one here was painted with pit markers, I think, and an alcohol-based marker. And if you see here, it looks okay, but when you flip over, oh man, it just bled through. I mean, it's kind of telltale when the ink, bleeds through worse than a watercolor paint would on regular, mixed media paper by Strathmore. I mean, it's crazy. Not a big fan because if you have anything underneath it, you lose the paper. And so what are we going to do about, this idea about this quest for the reusable marker? I have a fountain pen and I enjoy using it, and not long ago, I heard about the fountain pen marker, which is a marker that you can refill and reuse and replace the tip. And I've got some right here in my collection here. They're made by the Platinum Pen Company here. This is a Platinum Preppy fountain pen marker. If you open it, it's got a tip just like a marker would. Unscrew the back. You can see the converter. You can take this converter, empty it, only use it up, wash it out, replace this tip here, and use it for an entirely different color. And you have the entire spectrum of colors in the fountain pen world to work with, which is really cool because there's a lot of colors. You had many really good ink makers like Diamine, Noodlers. This one here, I believe, is a Diamine Autumn Oak. Another tip I have is you mark which it is on the cap here. Give it a number. See it? I don't know if you can. That way you can always know what you're working with. And you can get a collection of these over time. The pen's cheap. The converter costs a little bit of money because it's a mechanical thing they assemble that pulls the ink into the pen, out of the pen. But you can keep reusing it. And I don't know if it's more expensive than the Copic or not, but it's a nice thing because it gives you the option of refilling at home with something that really doesn't bleed through. I mean, I'm going to have some videos following this showing coloring with it. And I can show you, there is no bleed through on the fountain penning unless you have a really, really super thin paper. Alright, now that we've repositioned the camera and you see the sketch, I'll start by moving the cap. There's my marker, the Diamine Autumn Oak. I'll start by coloring the hair, just to have that part done. We'll do detail work later. Remember to put your colors down first, in my experience, because if you put the black ink down and then go to color again, it becomes a nightmare. Because the black always smears. Okay, we've got that. You guys see the progress here. So I had to reposition the camera where you can see a little bit better. So you see we've gotten this amount done, and the ink is a different color than what you'd think like a red is, because it's this autumn oak. It's nice because you won't find this probably in a marker collection. I mean, the color of deep amber that I created for the book is really difficult to match. So I just, the imagination's always better. So I'm just coloring this in watercolor paper. And this ink will also look slightly different when you are working with other papers. Bear that in mind. This is a brand of paper that Master Touch or some of that from, what's their name? Hobby Lobby. I've got some English paper which I really like that is available at Walmart, which if you guys are looking for like basic artist paper, Taylor & Rowley's pretty nice basic paper. This is watercolor paper, so it's going to look funky because I'm going to be painting the rest of the picture with gouache. In this picture here, we got this done, and I can just let that dry a minute. Ink is pretty fast drying, and I'll show you another project I'm going to use the marker pens with. This is another one of my projects, which is a sci-fi project. Just getting a basic uniform design down, and I have red markers, but again, having a unique color is nice, so I'm going to use Noodler's ink, one of their reds. With this one, there's supposed to be ruby emblems on the shoulders to denote the rank of the captain. So I will grab my, should be my 3P, which is armed with, should be Noodlers. I'll show you my chart here. See here, this is 3P Noodlers. Sorry, my hands. This is all an experiment here, guys. 3P is Noodlers Raboul Red. You get an idea what it looks like. On this, I'm going to use it for the shoulder marks. So, again, I'm showing you this. So this is the marker tip. Same with that tank inside of it that holds my ink. I can wash this out and reuse it, but I'm going to go just in these shoulder marks here. And they'll be surrounded by gold trim. And another thing for those drawing, be really careful with the gold because it can be really cantankerous when you are coloring. I mean, gold seems to like bleed. The minute you touch anything else with it, it absorbs it, and you've got to take a scrap piece of paper and clean the tip of your marker. It doesn't matter to seem to matter what you're working with. But I thought I would share this quick video about using fountain pen markers in your art projects. They're really nice and reusable, and you don't have to go into the $7 a marker experience. I mean, it's a little bit pricey to set them up, but these don't really bleed through, as you can see. General no bleed. Another thing we'll show you, another with this red. This red here. Just go down. These are really nice in being able to have your own colors that you don't see everyone else using, really, in markers. I mean, some people do all these custom blends and markers, and it's cool about the blending pens, but something nice about not having to blend. And these have their own hue, which, because none of the markers use the same dyes as watercolor. You can see a little crap coming off the paper because it's watercolor paper. And it just does that. I mean, if you buy it really, really, really high-end watercolor paper, it's more cotton than pulp, which for just everyday sketching isn't really essential. This is just showing more of the hair. Make it darker down here. So this is just doodling around, you know, character sketch from my Ranger books. Gotta fill it in. I can do all kinds of things, but, you know, not the best artist here. And that is that with the markers.